You want to learn about short-term rentals? You want to learn how to increase your revenue on the same exact property? We've got Al, the short-term rental king, and Kathy having a conversation. So give it up for Kathy from the Real Wealth Network.
Guess I'll sit right under our pictures. All right. How are you doing? Ready for more?
Yeah, ready for more, guys?
This is a great topic. All right. And we've got the guy, Al Williamson. You're going to tell us a little bit about your mission, as stated on your website. But I'll just say he's a civil engineer and author of Building Wealth with Inner City Rentals and leading landlord blog with all kinds of tips on how to increase income as a landlord. But it's beyond money for you. I mean, money's always great,
right.
But you have a mission beyond that.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
What's that?
I was multifold. First of all, is to be a good husband and father.
Yeah.
That's my primary thing that kind of regulates what I do. And then I really enjoy doing what I'm good at to help other people. And numbers come easy to me, and I'm an African-American male, so I can connect with them easier and help out inner city communities. I have an advantage there. So I use my strengths to help turn communities around and mentor other people who are trying to do something with the inner city or with a Class C neighborhood, trying to make it nicer. And in fact, since Kevin gave away a book, if you guys email me, I will give you my book called Building Wealth with Inner City Rentals. I'll email it back to you.
Wonderful. Okay, so he's got the mission to improve neighborhoods, but also improve cash flow for landlords, going from the long-term model that most of us know and use to the short-term, which is exciting, and also there's a lot of question marks there.
That's my second mission.
That's your second mission. Yeah, okay. So the second mission is to help us too.
Yes, second mission is just to define a different investment track. Right now, we all know we can buy more rentals and increase our cash flow, but you can also switch your market with your existing rentals. If your existing market doesn't give out enough cash flow, you can switch to a more lucrative one. And then when you switch, you can start stacking profit centers on top of your existing rental, bolting on different profit centers. So that's kind of what I experiment with, and I look at other industries, and I take best practices from it, and I try it out, or I interview people just to see what the outer limit of what so you go from a landlord to kind of a housing services provider. Mm-hmm. So what can be done? What does the outer edge look like?
Well, just yesterday when we were doing a pre-interview, he showed me his phone and rejected a 64-day rental that looked like something I would have accepted. And I said, why did you just turn that away? It wasn't good enough. So it's very interesting. So you say you're experimenting.
Right.
I think a lot of us would like to experiment. What are some of the ways it's gone well and maybe not so much?
Well, I'm playing to my strengths. I kind of wrote down the top 10, based on my research, the top 10 short-term rental markets for you guys, okay? So this is for traveling nurses area. So it's LA, San Diego, Seattle, Sacramento. So I have a demand. After Sacramento is Denver, San Jose, Austin, Texas, Atlanta, my friend back there, you're number 8, Bakersfield, and San Francisco. So it's where the housing allowance and costs for furnished rentals are beneficial. When everything's a perfect storm for a traveling nurse, you'll see them going to where their dollars can go the furthest.
So this is your main target, is traveling nurses? Or your main market?
As I'm passing through, I went from regular people on Craigslist to
But that was
Airbnb,
fun, huh?
yeah.
That's how Rich and I did it for years, and then, actually it worked out.
And then I'm really enjoying my traveling nurses, but then I'm moving to corporate housing.
Okay.
I'm moving into corporate housing.
And when you started with Airbnb, and when you get a new property, you start with Airbnb, and then you shift to another model. Is that right?
So you go through Airbnb if you can imagine, when you're doing things online, you guys look for reviews, right? If it doesn't have a review, you go on. So you need Airbnb for your third-party review, your Yelp. That establishes you, and online, you can't do it's that trust level. So you got to go through Airbnb. And also, once you're an established Airbnb person, you can always backfill in between longer-term bookings. I try to get a long-term booking, maybe a 3-month, and then if I see a 6 months, a couple of months from there, I'll do it. And that gap in between, you can Airbnb. So you backfill in just to keep your cash flow up.
And then from there, you start building your list of regulars? So
Yeah,
you don't need
always,
Airbnb anymore?
You always build you always get an email, absolutely. Okay. But
you get their email?
Yes, absolutely.
Nobody from Airbnb is here to hear that, right?
Well, after you're booking and they're staying with you, you can get their email without being blocked.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Okay.
So Airbnb's already been paid.
That is a great tip. I did not know that.
Yeah, Airbnb's already been paid. They're fine with it then.
Okay.
So same thing with VRBO and all these other. There's lots of other platforms that you can use to fill your rentals with. Mm-hmm. Now it's depending on if you're in a tourist community or if you're in a regular community. You behave differently.
I wanted to ask about that because, of course, when we use Airbnb, usually it's for vacation, right? Mm-hmm. Although more and more, if you're traveling for business, it's anywhere, any city.
Right.
So when you look for properties, are you looking for a certain kind? Is it a vacation property or is it near certain jobs or what do you look for?
Right. So I strongly recommend that if you're looking for properties, make it work as a traditional landlord.
So it has to work as a long-term rental first and foremost.
It has to work because that's your safety net. Mm-hmm. And from there you go on and you build up to see what your strengths are. If that is your goal is to get vacation rentals, then of course you're looking in a nice vacation community, but it should always work as a long-term lease.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise you're extending yourself out. And you're going to get yourself in trouble.
If there's potentially a downturn.
Right,
If
there's a potential downturn. Now, if you're in a
Which
regular...
is never coming.
Right. If you're in a regular community, then I recommend that you look to see if there's an extended stay anywhere in town. Because if you did, there's someone's done the research for you. So most likely you have a viable 30-day plus market, which most places do. And that's a whole nother universe of another mindset. I like to say, compare a tourist and a business traveler. You can see the different pots of money. One's coming out of pocket, one's being reimbursed. That's a completely different mindset.
So what kind of people are looking for short-term rentals like this? Obviously, it's not vacation unless someone can take a 2-month vacation, which actually happens in Malibu. Rich and I have a condo that we long-term rent right now for negative cash flow. Yay. Just want to let you know. It's for personal reasons, but we're hoping to do this. That's why we're so excited. But in Malibu, there are actually people who would vacation for 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
But what in other areas, what kinds of people have that? Is it just part-time work or contractors? Or?
Well, what really drills this down, because it's me. I'm a civil engineer. I do business construction projects. I'm there for 30 days, 60 days, sometimes 6 months. Mm-hmm. And if I was working for the Department of Transportation in California, the state pays me for 6 months to stay out there, and they cover my housing. So it's many different professionals. Besides civil engineers, of course, there's tons of, there's 100,000 traveling nurses that are all around. And there's plenty of other researchers.
Why are they traveling? Why aren't they permanent positions?
Well, let me walk you through it.
Okay, I know it's kind of off topic, but I'm just
is the nurse to patient ratio is changing. Okay. So there's a demand for more nurses naturally. Mm-hmm. There's a nursing shortage.
Mm-hmm. Big one.
So there's people recruiting. Mm-hmm. There's an aging population that has health care, Obamacare, and now Trump care, whatever's coming, but I'm sure they're going to have healthcare. So they have, and so you have a growing market, a nursing shortage, and people that need to pay off their student loans. So they're willing to go where they have a housing allowance that's tax-free, that they can pocket the difference that they don't spend. Since they can pocket the difference, that's why they're looking for landlords. They come with a housing allowance allowing them to stay in a hotel.
Oh, okay.
And if they can use a platform like Airbnb or other platforms to find a furnished, safe, cool neighborhood, then
So
they'll go with it.
they don't have to turn in the receipt. They just get
They
get
get
to keep
it
the difference.
and pocket it right.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay. So just in the news here in Denver, there was 1,000 short-term rental owners who are people using Airbnb and VRBO who just got cited for potential fines for not being licensed.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with that. And
I am.
how does that affect this industry? Will that mean more tightening of like what's required in the rental, or does it just mean cities want money, or both?
So I have a couple feelings on that. One is it's widely concluded that it's going to end up with the Supreme Court coming down with a decision. It's going to take about 10 years on property rights, and I feel it's going to go in the same direction as gun rights, that it's your property, you can do what you want to do with it.
Yeah.
But you will have to pay tax on it. So Airbnb is a proponent of their model that they show up at all the town meetings and they promote, hey, just let them pay lodging tax, but don't limit how many nights per year that they can do this. And Sacramento and many other communities are coming down with, hey, if you are sharing your primary residence, then we're not going to limit you on how many nights you can stay. But you do have to pay taxes.
Yep.
However, if you're a landlord, for us, we're going to limit the number of nights you can do this. And, from someone who's interested, like myself, who's interested in community building, an absentee landlord and a rotating person there, it's not good for your community. Whereas a homeowner is kind of stable, provides that fabric. So it could erode the community if you have all this 1 night, 3 night stays and no accountability.
Right.
So that's how I feel about it. I think, but again, all that goes away with 30 days and more.
So if you lease out for less than 30 days,
Right.
you're under a hotel type tax?
Yes.
And that obviously needs to be reported, but Airbnb does that for you?
Yeah. No, you do your own
You have-
taxes.
okay.
Except in San Francisco, I think they're mandating it, starting to mandate some things. But in Sacramento, you have to report it yourself.
Okay.
However, that's another reason. There's many reasons why, but financially, it's more profitable to do 30 days and more because
So you
the
don't have to
turnover
pay.
costs, the extra insurance that's required for 30 days and less, the permitting, and all the constant cost of being on call in your head. It's always looming that something could go wrong, or someone could lose their key, or you can get a phone call because they're just not familiar with the community.
Would you charge more for 2 or 3 nights than the longer term, short term? So in other words, if you could put up with that hassle,
Yeah.
or have a good assistant do that for you,
Yeah.
would you make more money on more of a nightly rental?
You make what the market will give you, as
Okay.
much as the market could bear. And I rarely see this, and I've been talking to people from all over the country, people I coach all over, when they're honest to themselves, and they say, "My time isn't free,"
Yeah.
and they give themselves, assign an hourly wage to the time that they're spending. fielding emails and answering questions and making sure that the cleaner shows up and then going in and inspecting what you expect and the cost of the cleaners and the laundry service and the risk associated with something going wrong and getting a bad review and making you start all over again or hurting you going forward.
Oh, yeah, we had that.
Yeah, so it's a big risk and it's a big cost. And then you look at that and you say, is that really, according to my numbers, because I tried it, I came out less than, when I paid myself, I came out less than a 30-day plus rental.
Wow. Yeah, we did try renting out the condo when we lived there, and we hoped it would pay for our Europe vacation by renting it out on the short term. This is just kind of funny and weird, but every now and then there's fleas on the beach. And there were no fleas in our house, but somebody tracked in these fleas from the beach and then posted on Airbnb that our house had fleas, but they were the ones that brought it in. And so, yeah, I mean, anything like that, all of a sudden you've got a bad review. No one wants to stay in a flea-ridden house.
Right.
So, yeah, that happens less, we would say, if it's 30 days or more?
30 days or more is a completely different type of person. Completely
How
different
so?
mindset. It's not going to be the partier. It's going to be
working.
someone who's there for a reason and or established reasons and typically they have more means and they're, I like business travelers because they want to get back to their families. They're more, they want to come home, quiet sleep and that type of thing. The whole, every time the issues I've had is when I've done 3-night stays.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about city restrictions. Are you seeing certain areas that, let's just say the cities that you just mentioned, and how can people get a list of those cities, by the way? Do you have that somewhere? Or do you want to put it on the app?
I can put it on an app or, yeah.
Okay. So of those cities, your chosen cities for the short-term rentals, are you seeing a tightening of restrictions or just kind of the overall?
There's a great, I think it's called homescore.org, has a map, and they give an A through F rating for all the cities that they analyze, and they'll tell you about not only the walk score but how friendly that particular city is to short-term rentals.
Okay.
My city gets a D minus.
Sacramento?
Yeah, Sacramento gets a D minus.
From regulation or
for
just,
regulation-wise for short-term rentals.
But you've worked around that.
It doesn't bother me at all.
So that was my next question. Management.
Right.
Are there property managers to help with this? Are you doing it yourself? I know you've got an online course called Airbnb for landlords, so I know some of your tips are in that. But is it management intensive, or can people just do it themselves?
So let me answer this two ways.
All right.
One of the most innovative thing is with big data, people, just like airlines tickets, they change per hour, per minute, right? Based on, so they have sophisticated managers that are always dynamic pricing. So with that data, they know they can rent the place if there's good, friendly laws. They know they can rent the place more profitably than a mom and pop or just about anybody who doesn't have that data set. So those management companies will rent your place from you, your furnished rental from you, and pay you more than you could make yourself.
That sounds fantastic.
And they guarantee it for a year
Wow.
because they can make the margin above that because of their sophistication.
So we could potentially be positive cash flow in Malibu.
Right.
At some point.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the goal. All right.
And that company's called rented.com. Okay, rented.com.
Rentit.com.
Very sophisticated business model. They will actually be your corporate client, corporate
Wow.
tenant for you. Okay?
Fantastic.
Paying you more than you could do. They're paying you to stay out of the way because you'll mess it up for them.
But It needs to be furnished.
There's different models for that.
Okay.
They essentially hold an auction for different sophisticated managers. Whoever's the highest person who bids on your operating your place, they'll connect you.
So are there short-term, as in 3 months, people who want to furnish it themselves?
I don't know about
I
those
wouldn't
people.
think so,
That
but
doesn't seem
yeah.
right. Then there's regular management companies, vacation management companies that take 20% of your gross, 20 to 30%. And then there's regular landlords who, like me and many others who, I call it a housing vending machine. Kind of Scott. I took Scott Marr's course, which is excellent, and he talked about the whole automation of storage, how people just pull up and they work with the kiosk and they get the fingerprint and they get the keys and they go in and there's no hands off everything. So I was working on that model and I fine-tuned that model to people check in, I never meet them, at the screening, they have their code, they go in and it's a vending machine. So I don't have the management headache if you operate at this level.
Amazing. And so are most of your rentals in Sacramento near you, or would you be
They're in
comfortable?
Sacramento near me.
Would you be comfortable using that system if you had properties nationwide?
If I had using my model, yes,
Yeah.
but I would need to have someone giving Chris Collier's type of service level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, because it's under my brand. I created everyone should create their own brand for their housing so that they can extend. If I bought something else in a different city, I can extend my Dr. Dorm brand onto it.
Yeah.
And parlay all my Airbnb reviews, my own reviews that I keep on my own website onto that property. So I could have, for example, if I'm doing a traveling nurse, it's a short conversation because they see, they have to scroll through all these reviews of other traveling nurses who say I'm great, and then the Airbnb reviews that verify it saying I'm great. And they're under pressure to find a place that's safe. So it's a very short conversation.
Wow.
It's usually, can I do it? Yes. And they PayPal me the money and that's it.
So, I think a lot of us have thought of short-term rental and Airbnb as having a certain kind of property and, like we said, vacation, which is
Right.
going to attract partiers and such,
Right.
and shorter term. So let's say someone here has a property that's underperforming in
Right.
either nearby or somewhere else. What would be their first steps in trying the new model?
Well, let me share a story with you. That was good. I had a lady in Kansas I met at a convention, and I can't say this without laughing. She was involved with something called Horse Motel, and she rent the people traveling with horses. I never heard of such a thing, but it was her. It
There's
was her
something for
Horse
everyone,
Motel.
yeah.
So this was her industry. She knew ranchers, $15 a bunk, per night. But she felt that there may be something to this Airbnb. So I was coaching her on how to get her. Horse Motel doesn't have any pictures, so Airbnb is very picture intensive. So I was coaching her on that, her captions, and making her redo it and things. So she gets it up and launches, and she gets a 45-day booking that first night. And
Amazing.
she called me and said, "Al, what is this?" And I'm like, "Well, what is it from?" She says, "It's from the Mars factory, the Mars chocolate. I forgot that they had built a plant. They built one of the largest plants in Northern California down the street from her. And she would have never got into that market. She went from $15 to $65 a night, 45 nights.
Wow.
You never know what your market is until you introduce it, your place, your offering. You don't know who. Everyone has a sweet spot and a strength for their property. Every property has its own highest, best use.
And maybe you just haven't seen that because you're using the old model.
Right. You can't find it on Craigslist.
Because maybe that person can't do the year-long lease.
Right.
But
Well,
they pay more for the short.
if they can do a year-long lease, they're not under stress and willing to pay more. Yeah, so what I'm talking about, the 1 night, 2 night, you can go to a hotel. When you start talking 30 days, the costs start adding up. You're trying to look for efficiencies. And a year lease, well, you can buy your own furniture and you can go, you're thinking long term.
Yeah.
There's no reason why to get a short-term rental. So this thing in between is on the hassle factor and on the net income factor, and for the taxes and the hassle and your lifestyle. I think most of us have 30-day plus opportunities.
Amazing. We can open it up to questions. All right, we've got them. All right.
Mine was more about when you're looking at your markets for, if you're doing traveling nurses, things like that. Are you finding, obviously, they want to be in a safe area, in some place they can feel comfortable since it's a new city. But are you finding they want to be near where they're actually working, or are they willing to drive a bit to actually get to their campuses just because it's a spot they would actually want to live in while they're there?
I want to say yes. Some of them want the nightlife. Some of them just want to get to a ski slope, and they're willing to drive, or proximity to a bigger city, or that has like San Francisco or something like that along those lines. I think I've housed maybe 11, 12 travelers, and some of them travel up to 45 minutes from my apartment building. And they do that because of my reviews and the safety. It's just, so imagine you're in Tennessee and you signed up a gig in California, you're packing your stuff, you got lots to worry about, you're kissing everyone goodbye, and you're uncertain and scared, and you know that the place you're booking has this huge safety rating, and you're in a gated community, everything's super safe, and everyone's told, and you got all this super credibility, versus someone who doesn't have reviews, who's closer by. You go with safety. So it really is about safety. And then I don't really have anyone I'm competing against in Sacramento. No one from Sacramento is here, so I can share all this. They don't go about getting reviews, making sure that they're closing in on reviews on the different platforms that these traveling nurses look on, or Facebook credibility. All that stuff really adds up for a reputation. So people will travel if they know it's safe, and this is really the bottom line, and you're affordable for them.
Now, what's going to happen when we have more robot nurses?
Yeah.
Whole other topic. All right, more questions.
Yeah, I've got a question regarding the systems right here.
Okay.
There.
I've got a question regarding the systems and when you don't actually see the property. Really intrigued about the key system you were talking about, and more so curious about how you work with cleaners and what that relationship looks like. If it's like a 1099 contract, or you work with a specific cleaning company. If you don't see the property, just all the systems you have in place to manage that. I'm curious what that kind of looks like.
So, as you know, all this has evolved through trial and error, and me going back and correcting my cleaner, and me paying her more to incentivize her on how to. Not only is she cleaning for me, she's staging for me as well. I want the dishes stacked a certain way. I want the pots and pans a certain way. I want when people come in, it to smell a certain way. I want the duvet covers on this way, and these buttons here, and the towels folded this way. So it's more than, she does all the laundry, everything, stages it all up, and she's moving into programming my digital locks for me.
And is that just a 1099 contract you built a relationship with?
Just a relationship with it.
So just finding that key person and then training them on the way you want things to be put in place.
Well, Chris set me up, and the fellow before set me up. She's training her replacement. I told her, hey, I'm gonna go hire someone else if you don't train your two ladies that can do this too.
It's growing so quickly.
Yeah, because I can't always rely on. I want to, but you and both know things happen. So So she has 2 other ladies, so I have 3 deep people that do that.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Have you done any sort of analysis of what kind of typical multiplier you're looking at over a traditional, 12-month rental?
I have this. Let me see if I can phrase this correctly. Let's talk net income, okay? And let's talk paying yourself for your time. And let's talk about what I've done. Because I reinvest back in as I'm make my place nicer and nicer. And I do a little bit at a time, and I increase my rents. As I get reviews, I increase my rates. Reviews, increase my rates. So the first year, starting with nothing, no reviews, no nothing, I was able to make 30% more than my traditional landlording on a net income basis. Mm-hmm. Now, it's going to be, on net income, it's going to be more along lines of 50, 60% the second year around. Because I went from 850 in this 2-bedroom. It's going to probably be $2,100
Wow.
for the same apartment, furnished, and with all my reviews and everything.
Amazing.
So, and my mortgage for my entire building is $1,640.
Wow.
So this one unit covers all that and covers all my expenses. And I use the rest of the 7 units to pay for my wife's shoes. And so one reason why I'm sharing the numbers for you, and I have four short-term rentals in this one property, is that there's nothing wrong with buying more rentals, but make sure it's not based on your ego, that you just want to own. You want the cash flow from multiple rentals, okay? That's really important. You don't have to have 100 rentals. I have one apartment building, and it can replace my engineering salary, okay? Because I switched the use of it. So what I'm saying is, if you buy multiple properties, just optimize before you buy another one, please. Don't just buy, and run them at the lowest level, sloppy, $100 margin, stressing you out when you need a paint job, stressing you out when there's a roof leak because you don't have any. First of all, that cash flow, you got to pay your reserves before it's cash flow. Just because it's money left over, please put away some reserves, and then what's left, you can consider that cash flow. But if you're not putting money into your reserves, then it's really not cash flow. So I'm off my soapbox now.
Well, we have 1 minute.
Okay.
We have time for one more?
So we have a few short-term rentals, and we're doing what you're doing at 30-plus days.
Okay.
So the people we're seeing also include people moving into Austin, Texas,
Okay.
And snowbirds, and also people that are new grandparents.
Okay.
One of the things that we're running into, so I do have a question,
Okay.
is that there are condos. One of our condos is actually not the government, but the condo association has flipped and said, you know what, you have to have 90-day min stay now in order to
Okay.
qualify. Have you run into any of that, and have you actually kind of pushed back on it, or what are the methods you've used to kind of?
Yeah, condos is a wildcat. I stay away from condos, but they're wildcats because you guys can decide on your own bylaws and operating guidelines at any given time. So
you have it in your own multi-unit.
I use my own properties without. I want you to use your strengths, but condos is an extra layer of uncertainty. Is an asterisk. It's a variable. So.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was great. All right. Give him a hand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right on time, too. All right. Wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you, Al. Thank you so much, Kathy.
All right, I'll take a hug.
Yes, terrific. Okay, so a couple announcements before break. The first thing is we've heard from some really great lenders, from Guaranteed Rate, from Pine Financial. Patch of Land is also here. Be sure to check those guys out in the back. I had no idea they're offering rates as low as 8%, closing as fast as 7 days. And so it's better than what I'm getting right now. And I've been doing this for, on a couple of properties already just this year in 2017. So check those guys out. As low as 8%. They can close in as fast as 7 days. They're doing financing as long as 18 months. Talk to Kevin and Ben around the corner. Real quick, where's Joe Grave? Am I saying it right? Okay. Right now, he is leading the photo contest. So if you support this guy, go on, like him. If you hate this guy, go on and like Anya's or Beth's or Omar's or something else. Let's get the politicking going. You got a couple hours left. All right? And we've got 2 or 3 more hours to get your name in for the raffle with Steve's $250 giveaway. All right? So with that said, we got Joe coming back on stage, Chris coming back on stage. We're going to be talking about securities. 20-minute break. We got some snacks around here. Make sure to get back here in 20 minutes. Thanks, guys.